Hi everyone, Steve Crosby here. Welcome to this, our inaugural episode of Monday Morning Musings. What's this all about? In our culture, time is almost more valuable than money. Most people don't have a lot of time. Most people don't read anymore. So what myself and my friends here in the Dallas, Texas area thought we might do is give you all a quick thought for the week, something 5 to 10 minutes on practical Christian living themes. This will not be the place where we're going to do deep theological discussion and debates. If you want to argue about Calvinism and Arminianism, this is not the place to do it. If you want to talk about heaven and hell issues, this is not going to be the place to do it. If you want to get into a big discussion on some topic, we have other places and other resources. We have the blog at stevecrosby.org, and then we have stephencrosby.soarlms.com for all the videos and all that other stuff. This is going to be just a quick nugget. What we call in the podcast, we call it a Brothers in the Basement Bullet. Well, this is just going to be a nugget for you for the week. Our plan is to release them on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and you can subscribe there, and you should get a notification every time one of these comes up. So it's going to be about practical Christian living. I like to joke and say it's about not being a jerk while you're on earth until you get to heaven. Most issues that I run into people isn't about the metaphysics of where we go when we die. It's about how are we going to get along as human beings. So we're going to be talking about practical issues on these Monday morning musings with Steve. Glad to have you on board. You'll be able to put your comments in on YouTube, and those of you that know my email and other, you can reach me. If you have questions, if you have topics that you'd like to see us cover, you can get it into us. But this is the first one. That's all we're going to say. We're just going to introduce it to you, and we look forward to seeing you once a week. And that's what he said. Hi everyone, it's Monday. Welcome to Monday Morning Musings with Steve. There's a basic topic that's as basic to kingdom living and Christianity as anything, that's forgiveness. And I yet still remain amazed at how many folks I run into who are really goofed up on this topic. Sometimes the topic of forgiveness comes up and people think it's kind of like an emotional get out of jail free card where terrible things have been done to me or terribly hurtful things I've experienced. And if I forgive, it's like I'm not supposed to feel it, I'm supposed to be okay with it, and I just let this other person off the hook. So we're going to talk about that in this session and a couple of other ones. It doesn't mean that. Forgiving somebody doesn't mean that you don't have permission to feel the hurt. It doesn't mean that you have to act like it never happened. It doesn't mean that they get to persist in horrible behavior. Forgiveness starts with a decision. I make a decision. Here's the idea. That I take that offending and hurtful behavior and I remove it from them. I choose to remove the thing that I want to indict somebody else about and take it away from them. It's like I separate the person's identity and being from their behavior. I'm not making any judgment about whether their behavior was acceptable, offensive, or not. It was horrible behavior. But I choose to relate to their being, not to their offenses. And it starts with a volitional decision. We're going to talk about in another episode how it being more than volition, but for today, it's just the basics. This works out at the smallest levels of life to the big levels of life. Imagine, if you will, someone who, let's say, God forbid, but let's say they've lost a daughter or a child to a pedophile serial killer. Forgiveness for that person is going to be on a little different scale than somebody who had their feelings hurt because their spouse was abrupt or curt with them this week. Yet forgiveness still applies to them somehow. And whether it's the spouse who's just had their feelings hurt or that one, God forbid, who's experienced a devastating loss, the issue is the removal of the sense of indictment. It's got nothing to do with giving that person a free pass. I choose to not hold that other person responsible for their behavior. If someone was blind, it would be irrational of you to expect them to be able to see a red light at an intersection. And if they should, by some reason, step off the curb inappropriately and somebody blasts the horn at them, well, you should have stopped. Well, they don't have the faculty that's necessary to make the judgment to let them know that they should stop. And forgiveness is sort of like that. It's when I see another human being, I realize that that human being has a diseased condition, a disabling condition that theologians call sin. And that I am my predisposition towards that person is to acknowledge that and to separate them from the faculty that they don't have. Jesus said it this way: Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. If the working out of that one sentence in our life could save a lot of marriages, a lot of church drama, and a lot of human pain, because it's actually a preposterous statement. You're telling me that those Roman guys knew what they were doing. Pilate knew what he was doing. The Sanhedrin knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. But Jesus said they don't know what they're doing. And so just remember that when that thing in you arises to want to even the score, that's the opposite of forgiveness. That I have been violated and somebody else owes me something. We're going to talk about the nuances of this later. But forgiveness is simply, I choose to not hold the charge against them. Think of a legal court. Think of the scales of justice. Forgiveness is, I choose a different arena. This world operates on the scale of justice, making sure everything just balances out. It's the old covenant way of life. You hurt me twofold, I'm going to get you sevenfold. It's the escalation of vengeance. That's not what forgiveness is. So, we're going to talk about a couple more. Remember, yeah, we must forgive so that we can be forgiven. But it doesn't mean we don't get to be human in the process and go through all the emotions that may accompany and work through those things that are necessary to get to a healthy place. And that's what he said. See you next time.